Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Shri Gurave Namaha. Namah Vishnupada Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gauravaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Rama Hare Hare Jai Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Narada Muni ki Jai Dhruva Maharaj ki Jai. Yesterday, we paused at Uttanapad being given the information that Dhruva is safe and sound. And he is taken up to a process which is very difficult even for the kings and sages. But Narada Muni has assured Uttanapad that Dhruva Maharaj is going to be successful. And he's going to make the name of the father well known and great. So Uttanapada is relieved. So Narada raised the king and bid him farewell. Uttanapad entered his shrine room. He wanted to worship the Lord in gratitude. Others could worry about the kingdom. He prayed that Narada had been right when he said Dhruva would soon return. Until the boy was back, Uttanapad could think of nothing else. He instructed his ministers to manage the affairs of state, and he stayed in seclusive prayer day and night, thinking of his son, rarely consulted by his ministers. Okay, we'll pause there. Two important lessons here. When we lose something, then we realize the value of it. And Maharaj Uttanapada is an example of somebody who's codependent, or a personality type who had this issue of weakness of being dependent and seeking validation from his second wife Suruchi, and therefore falling into bad decisions. And sometimes when we don't value something precious that we have, and we have to learn the hard way by losing it. And the value of something lost is much known. And then, in fact, the positive side of it is the Vipralamba, when we are in separation, the love for the beloved increases. So in this case, it's a little bit of mixture, because it's not separation because of being right and then feeling separation. It's a separation due to being wrong, and then repentance, and then that repentance causing the separation. So this is another category of attachment towards a devotee. So Maharaj Uttanapad here, he did make a huge advancement, not only because he was the father of Dhruva Maharaj, but because of two other reasons of Uttanapad, which is a great quality of a devotee. One is that he repented immediately. He repented his mistakes, he corrected himself. And the second point, and he repented, he corrected, and he kept thinking about Dhruva. His prayers kept him, kept him alive, and he like kind of how do you call it? When you make a sin, then you have what? Like redemption. His redemption was constantly meditating on the Lord for Dhruva. That was excellent. And the second is that he took complete shelter of the Lord. He was not like some of people who, when they are in trouble, they worry, oh, how is my son doing? Oh, how is my daughter doing? Oh, what if this happens? What if that happens? We sit at home and kind of meditate on the negative. What if this will happen? And what if that happens? It's kind of tamas guna of lamentation, right? In Bhagavad Gita basics, Brahmabhuta Prasannatma na shochati. Shochati means lamentation. Think shochati is in the past. Kangshati is in the future. Like Kangshati means, oh, when that will happen, oh, when this will happen, oh, when will that desire be fulfilled. Kangshati. Shochati is like, oh, this should not have happened. Oh, why did I do this? Oh, what will be happening? What if this happens? What is it? So it's tamas guna is thinking about the past and lamenting. And Kangshati is about future. Kangshati is usually like, oh, I want good things to happen, and like living in the illusion of future. But sarveshu bhuteshu means the solution is not in lamentation, it's not in hankering, it's in the living in the moment. And what does living in the moment mean for a devotee? Uttanapada is setting that example here. He's thinking of Krishna, he's meditating on Krishna, he's fully taking shelter of Krishna, and he's handing over the son to Krishna. And in Rajaguna, we may have seen in some movies, in Rajas Guna, if Uttanapad was in Rajas Guna and he didn't regret soon enough, then what he would have done, he would have asked Narada, where is my child? I want to go and protect him. I want to go. I want to do this. I want to do that. But he didn't do any of that. In the movies, that's what we will see, right? And he wants to control. So Uttanapad had a huge transformation. What was the transformation? Complete, utter dependency on wrong sources to complete undependency. It's a word that I created. Undependency on others and dependency on the Lord. Earlier, he was not doing the right thing. So what means depending on the Lord? Depending on the Lord means doing the right thing, doing the next right thing. And for Uttanapad, the next right thing was to be grateful that Dhruva was safe. The next right thing for him was to worship the Lord and focus on his seclusive prayer and sadhana. So we can learn a lot from Maharaj Uttanapad about somebody who is codependent, got attached in a wrong way, but then he came out of it. And we don't also see that in Tamas Guna, what somebody in a situation of Uttanapada will do, blame and shame Suruchi. It's all because of you. You did this, you did that. A devotee in Sattva doesn't do that. He's not doing that. He just is minding his own business. And what is his business? To take shelter of the Lord. And what is his business? To pray for Dhruva, because that's what he can do at this point. And he could have protected Dhruva, he didn't. Now he has to do much, 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 much more. So we can learn a lot from King Uttanapada. Okay. Anybody likes to continue reading from here? The rising sun reddened.
Only in this condition one can attain the devotional service to the Lord.
What condition? Please be specific.
Yeah, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma Shrutati na Kangshati.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we are, like puppets in the hands of the three modes. We get dragged down. अरे ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए था, मैंने ऐसा क्यों कह दिया, उन्होंने ऐसा क्यों कह दिया. We get stuck in the past, and then stagnation. Stagnation. Tamas guna make, oh, I will never do this again. I will not talk in this way. Like lamenting. I should not do this. Then we get stagnation, stuck. And then Kangshati will make us like, if Uttanapada was like example of Kangshati would have been, oh, Dhruva, tell me where he is. I'll get him right now. I'll make Suruchi apologize to him. Like Rajas guna would be to controlling. So when we control, how can we be spiritual? Spirituality is inherently vulnerable. Means why we came to spiritual life? Because we accept that the way I was living before didn't work for me. It's utter failure my life was without spirituality. Then I become vulnerable. Oh, my way of thinking is wrong. I want a spiritual way of thinking. So, but then after coming to spiritual life, again, if we try to control, again, if we put our mind into, I want this, I want that, then it's stuck. Again, we get stuck in another way. Actually, we don't just get stuck. We digress, because we create actions which causes go down, and that's why we could become even an animal species of life.
chain of reactions.
Chain of reactions, yeah. Especially in Rajas chain of reactions. Yeah.
Mhm.
And Sattva, Brahma Bhuta Sattva, Shochati Nakanshi, Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu. So that's about living in the present. Living in the present for a devotee means you do your dharma of taking shelter of the Lord. Have you ever, any of you experienced
Your voice is breaking,
so many things
Mataji.
are bothering us? I don't know, maybe it's a connection. It's raining outside, so maybe it's a little. Okay, can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
Okay. So have you ever had experience that you have some troubling situations externally, but then you choose to not worry about them, to not act on them, and you just go reclusive and you just chant and you just say, Krishna, I just want to connect with you. Even not even asking Krishna to solve or anything. You just take shelter of Krishna and you just go with Krishna. And then when you come out of that little stage or suddenly get inspired, and then you didn't do anything, but then the thing got sorted out, and then you feel like, wow, I actually, all I did was just nothing. I just took shelter of Krishna. So
Yeah. I have experienced this thing. And
yeah.
afterward, what I feel, I get tremendous power. When
Mm.
such situation is there and you haven't reacted, you just kept quiet and calm and just ignored. Then I feel like, I had a tremendous power. Then you feel like better relief that you haven't did anything to that situation. It just flowed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, even on small things, if sometimes I have anxiety, and I start chanting, and all the
Mm.
anxiety goes.
True.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I have experienced this recently only. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. Like yesterday in the meeting, we discussed in journaling meeting how everything is just a concoction of the mind. ये भालो ये भालो ये mondo सब monodharma. Mahaprabhu in Chaitanya Charitamrita says that in this world, to think that this is good, this is bad, shubha, shubha phale, this is auspicious, this is inauspicious, why this is happening to me, all these things, to think all that is just mental concoction. And then when we tell that mind, oh, you know this, there is this story. I really like this small story. There was this genie. This girl was walking on a beach, and then suddenly she finds this genie comes out of the bottle and then says, "Here I am. What do you want? Tell me, engage me right now. But my only condition is you have to keep me engaged 24/7. Don't engage me, then I'm going to eat you and I'm going to kill you." But initially, this person is very happy. Oh, wow, I got this genie, can do anything for me. And then she gives a bunch of tasks. Go do this, go do that. Okay, build a hospital, done. 1 second, the genie is back. Engage me, otherwise I'll eat you up. Okay, go build this bridge, builds and immediately comes back. And this person starts getting exhausted because they don't know how to engage this genie, because it's so hyperactive and so efficient in 1 second. By the time this lady could think of the next task, the genie was done with it already. And so it was so difficult. And finally, she gets a guru who tells her, hey, just engage that genie, ask the genie to go to that top of that pole. Then when it reaches the top, come down. And when it reaches the down, go up. And then she puts the genie to go and do that, go up and down that pole. And then whenever she needs, because Genie, come here. Genie comes, like, oh, do that task. Okay, come back. Yeah, what should I do next? Come on, tell me. I go back to that pole. So the pole is our japa. And that
So we
japa.
have to keep our mind, always absorbed in,
Exactly.
avoid it. Yeah.
Actually, we have to be mindful in every situation that what we are doing. If we don't think that what we are doing, sometimes we react.
Right. Actually, what you said, no, both of you, what you shared, it shows that you have done that work, that internal work. It's not possible suddenly to come to that point of being first of all, it's hard to take shelter of the holy name immediately, because the mind, practice of lifetime, we try to fix it, we try to cry, we feel victim and all that. Second, to come to that point, like when you're chanting, like just give to Krishna and then, just be there, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma, na shochati na kankshati, to not lament, to not hanker, but be with Krishna. It's not easy. It's only by mercy that we can attain even that. And then what Rajeshwari Kamataji said, when we don't react, you feel so empowered. It happened to me recently also. One devotee was acting very, very, I don't know, irrational. And usually I would get triggered and try to argue and make that person see what they're doing. But that day I just decided, no, I just keep quiet. And the person went on blaming and shaming me for 5-10 minutes. And I just did nothing. They went on saying, how could you do this? Blame, 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 blame. Then I said, like, doesn't make any sense. There's not even point of arguing with this person if it can be so rational. But then I just said, Hare Krishna. I just listened. Just looked at that person and I just listened. It was hard, those 5-10 minutes, right? Internally, it was hard. But it's a practice. And then after 10-15 minutes, that person came back after all the venting and screaming. They came back and they said, actually, I'm very sorry. They came back to, like, not that they really understood. They didn't understand anything. It's just that those 10 minutes made them so uncomfortable. My silence made them so uncomfortable. And then that gave that person they expected a fight. They expected argument and screaming. I'm like, no, I'm not giving it. I'm not going to give you my peace. Sometimes people want our peace. They feel relieved when they go and disturb somebody's peace. Sorry, but there are people like that, tamasic people. But if it's up to us, if we want to give our peace to them or not. Uttanapad could have given away his peace to Suruchi. You see, it's because of you and this and that. I mean, all these details are not given here. But you can imagine what Suruchi might have tried to do. I'm sure she might have tried to trigger Uttanapad. See, this is a kind of son, you see, ran away. Who knows what she could have done? She seems to be quite a narcissistic person. They don't say what all she did. But Uttanapad did not give his peace to anybody. He went seclusive. He went into prayer. So we can also do that. Every day we can do that. Yesterday I was writing about I'm working on this, like what to do when we are with difficult people in our lives, like narcissists and all. And then there's one, the conclusion of one of that thing I was writing is bhajan, Narayana nama nere bahodallave aru sangada bahodilla. This is a very kind of sad song, bhajan, which says that when we are actually in difficulty, when we are very sick, when we are dying on the deathbed, all these situations, there are many situations like that, nobody will come near you. The same relatives that you fed and celebrated, those same people that you wanted to show your successes, all those people will never give you shelter. They will all run away. There's only one true shelter. Narayana nama nere bahudallave. The name of Krishna, the holy name, the chanting of the holy name is the only person, because Nam Prabhu is the holy name is a person. Only he can give you that refuge. Only he can give you that shelter. Nobody. Who will come with us at death? Nobody will come to rescue us at death. Nobody will come. Who will say, I'll come and die with you? Nobody will say that. No matter how much we've done for somebody, how much we love them, death we have to face alone. In that first canto that about Draupadi, Srila Prabhupada speaks, we have to learn to fly our own airplanes. And there are certain circumstances in our life that we need to fly our own airplanes, so to speak. Nobody can help us except the holy name. Aru sangada bahudilla. Nobody will say, I'll share your disease, give it to me. Nobody will say, I'll share your pain. Oh, you're depressed. Oh, give me that depression. Be free from depression. Who will say that? Nobody. Not even our father and mother. Nobody will say that. So then how can we expect some person with so much baggage and anartha to understand us? It's our ignorance. Ignorance. Kangshati. Oh, maybe this person will change. Oh, one day maybe I'll get respect from these people. That's Kangshati. That, as Rajeshwari Radhika Mataji said, that's it. If we are in that spiritually, how we can get liberated? We cannot. Because if we depend on, like, nayi kunnigalante parara pidisuta, if we go like puppies and dogs waiting at the doorstep of somebody, hoping for them to change and love us and accept us and validate us and make us feel whatever, how can we depend on Narayana and Krishna with that conviction, and there's nobody else? As long as there's somebody, we will become the dog and puppy and wait at their doors. As long as we think that there is somebody, there is nobody. But the point coming to that realization is the whole realization of Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma. There is no hope in this world. Thank God there is no hope. Otherwise we'll be stuck here.
Isn't it result of our past karma, and it happened and we haven't reacted? So now we have broke the chain of reaction.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And some of us can do it sooner, some of us later, some of us, they struggle all life. It is. We break the chain, as you say. It's a habit. It's a pattern. We can break it slowly, practicing it slowly. My grandfather, my paternal grandfather I saw him in that perfect, such a sadhu he was. No matter the circumstance, he'll not react. And nowadays people think that to be, that there is all this thing, no, there is only one Brahman, and like that, the Jivatma, something, and then there is one, I forget that whole questions. One is Brahman, two is the Jiva, and something like that, and then there is that point about what is the language of God, something like that, in Sanskrit, in Upanishads, something. Silence is the way, to God, something like this. It's not by mantras, it's not by tantras, it's not by any languages, it's by silence. Silence is not just externally we don't say anything and we stay scared, and internally we are regretful and resentful. Internally also we have no regret, no resentment. My grandfather was like that. He'll keep quiet, insults will be thrown at him and this and that. He'll just keep quiet. And then when I used to get very agitated and then go and say, how they can speak like this against you? He say, relax, don't create more karma. This person is suffering and therefore they're acting like this. They don't know what they're doing. So we must be forgiving. Bhagavatam says we should forgive a person who is acting in a less than ideal way. We should forgive them. But you are an older person, how they can treat you like this? Actually, they are already going to suffer the consequence of it. So I don't want to make them suffer more. I will pray for them. I will forgive them. So sadhu he was. And I was a kid and I wanted to hurl at the person who would insult him. And he would stop me and preach to me. And I didn't understand back then. Even now I'm not understanding, but I can see the glimpse of why he did it. And to be very frank with you, I have hardly met, except my Guru Maharaj, like some Guru Maharajas that I have known, few even, not all gurus even I can put in that category. Only very few people were like that, my grandfather. And that's the real strength of a man, of a devotee. It's not just letting your steam out and screaming and shouting, and it's not strength. This is real strength. If somebody can do that. And actually, I have seen some gurus like that, and there are some gurus like that. I've seen them in GBC meetings being harassed or something, and they're quiet. They don't react. They don't react at all. I mean, Japatak Maharaj, Bhakti Charu Maharaj, Mahatma Prabhu, they're all examples of those who have come to that stage. They won't react.
Radhanath Maharaj.
Radhanath Maharaj, definitely. They won't react. So it's powerful. It's power. That's real power. Now, somebody may say, hey, wait, what about Bhima? He will not be quiet. Wow. if you are like Bhima, if your nature is to challenge and kick the backside of people who attack Krishna or Krishna's devotees, then it's a different thing. Even Prabhupada said yesterday, I was watching some video. Prabhupada is so angry with Gandhiji. He says, what is all this non-violence nonsense? Non-violence, it seems he got killed by violence. That's the result. You see, Krishna was telling him there's no non-violence. And then he got killed. They made some video of Prabhupada speaking, and then they put Gandhi there and getting like a movie, some movie scene of Gandhiji being killed and like Gandhi character being shot. Then Prabhupada is very against non-violence, very against non-violence. Then I was trying to understand that. Then my conclusion was Desha Kala Patra. Depends on what's the circumstance, who is that person, what's your area of influence. If we are in the position of Yudhishthir Maharaj or Arjuna or Bhima, means we are the kings or emperors of that place, and we need to fight for justice against people like Duryodhana, that's one thing. But if we're talking about internal anarthas such as resentment and anger and lust and greed and comparison and getting into tamas because somebody's trying to put us down, then we adopt violence. So you see, we don't fight against fools and rascals who are don't know what they're doing in terms of insulting us or triggering us or trying to put us off balance. There we just won't fight. Why? Kichad mein pattar dalna. Because it's like, if we, in Kannada also we say, there's a proverb, if you throw like on wet stool, if you throw a stone, what will happen? What will happen? Don't try it, please. It will splash on you, right? So we don't go and throw stone at somebody who is like a wet stool. But Arjuna is fighting against the other side of dharma, Bhishma and Drona, and he's fighting. So they are like fighting with sandalwood. That's different. That's very different. He's trying to act according to Krishna's will. But so there is a time, sometimes we can take a stand by keeping quiet. But what Rajeshwari Radhika Mataji said, going back to that point, it empowers us when we don't react, when we don't give in to our anger. And when Arjuna started fighting, he was not fighting out of anger. He was fighting out of empowerment.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes.
Like sometimes, like just like you said, like we need to maybe stand out and speak out. Maybe because of we have some responsibility and all. So what I have found in my life, right? If we do it like with detachment, that I am not taking it personally, but I am doing it because I have a duty to correct the other person, then we can maintain that inner peace. But the moment we start taking personally, oh, how she can tell these things about me, then we lose the peace. No? So I think like it's all about the inner part, like what we are feeling, whether we are taking it personally or not. Then outside, maybe we can give different reactions based on the circumstances or time, place, and circumstances. But to maintain the inner peace, it's so important to remain detached and not take things personally.
Yeah, it's easier said than done. When we say it, it's true. But then every circumstance is hard. That's why we need Sangha. We need to study Srimad Bhagavatam. We need to see things through the lens of Bhagavatam. And then we chant. And, it's a process. It's a process. It's not a product. Like once we do it, it's not that it's ours. We have to keep endeavoring.
Right.
Relationship every day is like that practice. Sometimes I'm able to do it. Sometimes I'm not able to do it. That's why sadhana helps us. When we do sadhana, it gives us the foundation.
Same, yeah. Sometimes I also lose it, but sometimes, yeah, sometimes we can do it.
We have to really make it ours. No, really make it ours. And it seems like Uttanapada has reached that stage where he's made it his, that piece. Okay, I think Vilas Manjari has a class or something. She's joined.
Hare Krishna, did you say something?
Yeah, so do you have a class now or something?
No, finished just now, so I thought I'll hear you.
Okay. Yeah, we're discussing a very interesting subject matter of not reacting in hard, tough situations, but also how to be expressive about our needs, etc., like the balance. I mean, like as a mother, you need to discipline your children. You're not going to keep quiet if the child does something wrong, right? You have to discipline the child. That's austerity. But when your mother-in-law will say something harsh, we don't discipline her. Just to put it in simple words. We actually, okay, this person has some opinions and they're going to scream or shout. We listen like that. I also know my grandmother, my maternal grandmother had a very evil mother-in-law, very bad mother-in-law.
Very
And
nice example.
what?
Very nice example you're giving.
Mhm. And my grandmother would not react. My
Oh.
great grandmother will say horrible things. She won't let my grandmother come inside the kitchen. She won't let her even take care of her own children. She will cook for the grandchildren. She won't let the mother cook.
Mhm.
And my grandmother used to take shelter of Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Mahabharat, and she'll do her parikrama. And chanting was not so much her thing. She'll quietly do some bhajans and she will take shelter of the scriptures in her small little kitchen. Because she didn't have power. In many places, we don't have power. If we have power, like Arjuna, Bhima, they had power. But if we just go against something, somebody, we have to be realistic. If we don't have power against somebody, what we're going to scream and shout and lose our mind for? So we have to see. We have to see who we are dealing with. But then you may say we have to take power. Right. And what I've seen is like what I've learned from my grandfather, my paternal grandfather and maternal grandmother is that there are different ways of taking power. One is externally taking power, which, the Pandavas were ready and always ready. But when Krishna arranged for them to be internally ready, then they all went into the battlefield. Modern day is all about taking charge, taking power externally. It's all about equipping a woman. Hey, walk away from abusive relationships, walk away from that. Everything is about empowering a person to be externally independent, externally. What about internal? But what I see with both the grandparent situation was that they were internally strong. Externally, they were poised because they were internally strong. Nowadays, people are so fragile internally, and externally they try to compensate for that with external independence. For a king, it takes so much to go into seclusive prayer and think of Krishna and take shelter. It takes a lot of courage to do that. So that's going internal. What Uttanapada is doing here is going internal. So we may think modern day is all about independence, take a stand, show your power and all that. It's good as long as it's also about internal strength. Internally, are you really not dependent on these people, or internally we are hoping they will like us, we will prove to them who we are and how much we are worthy? That means we are weak internally. But internally you don't. Like my grandmother, she didn't care about impressing her husband or the mother-in-law. She didn't care about any of that. She cared only about Krishna. And therefore, she could stay so strong internally. Externally, nothing touched her. It was like a lotus in the water. You can't wet it. You put water, it will slide away. I mean, I've seen examples like that. My grandfather was cheated by his own brothers. They made the mother, when the mother was very sick, they took the thumb impression of the mother when she was in bed. And my grandfather had traveled away somewhere for work. And the other three brothers took away all the property. My grandfather was the oldest, and they didn't give anything to my grandfather. So like that, they did all these kind of things. But my grandfather never like lost his peace because of these things. Because he didn't want, he chose peace. And I could see, his death was so amazing. He finished 16 rounds. He was a devotee. He had met Srila Prabhupada, and he even had his beads. His beads that he had ready for his initiation is my beads now. Because he couldn't take initiation. Prabhupada passed away back then. And then he didn't find anybody else to take initiation from. And I was about 11 years old when he passed away. He was my Shiksha Guru and everything, first Shiksha Guru. And I saw him living life like not taking revenge, not reacting. He would say, this is my past karma and I am taking it with great, great gratitude. I will go through it and I'll finish this karma. I'm not going to react like that. So, by the way, you say Jai, his name was Jai Simha. And just according to the name, he really had that victory over his karma and he chanted 16 rounds. He looked at the temple. We had a Balaji temple near our home, and from his window, you could see the temple tower. So he had finished 3 hours of Shaligram Puja. He'll wake up very early, 3:30 in the morning, and he'll do puja. He'll cook himself for Gopal. I have his Gopal deity with me now. He used to cook for Gopal, and then I had to leave to school early that day, and he was in the puja room. He'll never open the puja room door, never open it until he's finished with the Saligram puja and Gopal puja and everything, and cooking and offering. But that day, he was supposed to go somewhere for a Satyanarayan puja. When he opened the door slightly, the puja room door, because I said, please come back soon, Tata, don't stay too long in the brother's house. And then he opened slightly that door and he told me, my name is Lakshmi. My name was like legal name is Lakshmi, Sri Lakshmi. So he says, Lakshmi, don't become attached to me. Become attached to Krishna. And become attached to the instructions, something like this. He said, I was, jumping out of the door. And then I said, okay, whatever, but please come back soon. And then when I went to the school, and then after the puja, he chanted his 16 rounds, hale and healthy. He wouldn't wear glasses. He didn't even have fever. Then after the Shaligram thing, he chanted his 16 rounds. He hung his back to that window where you could see Narayana temple, Krishna temple. He just looked through Govinda temple. And then my grandmother was in the room, the other edge, and he just called out loudly, Narayana. And then he held his hand to his chest, and he just had a massive heart attack, and he just collapsed and he left his body like that. And in Telugu, they say, Manchi Vallaku Maraname Sakshi. It means for a amazing, like Manchi Vallu means exemplary person or a good man, good person. Marana means death. Death will be the proof how a person will die. If they die with a lot of diseases, that means, there is some karma like that. When somebody dies like that, glorious, calling out the name of the Lord and, having done all the sadhana, like what a preparation. He was all dressed up nicely, he was wearing his coat, and he used to wear this kind of like, what Modi wears, that kind of jacket. He will wear khadi, which has many, many pockets. And in some of those pockets, there are, like he would keep different things. So the point is ourselves, our mind, how we handle the situation. And it's a practice. We need to be kind with ourselves also. We can't become like my grandfather or our Guru Maharaj overnight. It's a humble practice every day, little bit more, little bit.
Mataji, even I heard about my Nanaji when he passed away on the day of Ekadashi in his own temple. He used to make this, Tulsi weed mala. he was sitting on in front of the deities and he was chanting on the Tulsi bead and he just passed away.
Wow. Wow. Such a glorious death. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Even when I used to go during my summer vacation to my nanny's place, I used to see them like, every time as the sun rises, they used to get up and the day ends as the sun sets. I was thinking now, before I could not relate how this life is, but now I can relate. I'm such a pious life, serving the cows, washing, cleaning, worshipping the deities, the temple area, everything. And I've
Yeah.
seen like the way you was saying about your grandfather. I was see about him that he used to keep quiet in every situation. Because whenever he used to come to my place, my dadi, I don't have my grandfather, my paternal grandfather. My dadi, she used to speak a lot. He just keep quiet, listening, and so see, actually, they are internalized people. Like
Yeah.
they know that how to react, what to do. They
You
don't
said
bother much.
internalized. Did you say internalized?
Yeah.
Yeah, very good word. I like that word. Living, the power, they derive power from within. Snehavati Gandharvika, this is a good chapter title. Those people who are narcissists, they try to compensate when they don't have internal power, they will try to externally compensate for it, like Daksha, Hiranyakashipu. Internally, they were so fragile, so insecure. They could not, tolerate, like Daksha could not tolerate Shiva's greatness and whatever. And then externally, he tried to use his power to put him down. Same with Hiranyakashipu. Couldn't accept the fact that Prahlad will not accept him as God. He went to such an extent. So this is the big difference between devotee and, even among devotees, those who are like Sattva-guna devotees and those who are like struggling devotees. Either one is internalized, means the strength is within. You can't shake them. Whatever you do externally, they're not going to get affected. Wow, that's such a powerful place to be. It's like a golden place to be at. Like, imagine I'd say to some of you something like, oh my God, you're wearing such a horrible black dress. You look horrible in this black dress. And if you're not wearing black dress, why should you feel offended? Right? If you know you're not wearing a black dress and somebody goes on insulting you for wearing a black dress and you're not wearing a black dress. So like that, when you're internalized, whatever a person says, you're not going to get affected by it. Yeah. So I guess we will pause here, close here today, and we'll continue tomorrow. We can meditate about this. We can journal about Uttanapad. We can journal about our reactions and action and reaction, and remember like instances where we can do better. Usually when we're in the middle of it, then we can see our vulnerability. It's easy to like intellectualize and say, hey, I should do better. I should intellectually. Then when it actually happens, it's a different thing. Sometimes we slip. It's called like a slip. Little bit we slip, then we can slide back up, go back up, and be well situated. Do not hope in this material world. Do not put your hopes on people of this material world. Only on Krishna. Not on the Jana. Jana means people. Not on this Jan, like Hindi we say Jan. We should only trust Janardhana, not Jana. Jana means the normal people. Janardhana is Krishna. So let us put our hopes on Janardhana and not on the Jana of this world. Nobody will come with us when we die. Nobody will come with us when we get internally stuck in our spiritual stagnation. Only Krishna can help us. So that should always be a reminder for us. Thank you very much. Karantara Srimad Bhagavatam.